everybody, welcome to another episode of Nerds Without Filters.
How are we gonna do this, Steven? We're so hungover. My brain is mush.
Hold on, let's restart that.
I say we keep it in, man. This is real shit.
But just in case, you know.
Just in case. Hi.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Nerds Without Filters. As always, I am your host, Steven, and this is my co-host, Brian.
Hello, Internet.
We are a little hungover from the festivities of Cinco de Mayo. I wanted to see Brian drunk. I got my wish. Problem was, I got the other side of it. I'm drunk. I got drunk too. So, anyways,
you don't want to see me drunk. I'm not a looking pretty face.
Well, you're not a pretty face anyway, so it's okay.
Right away with the jabs.
Well, of course.
Fucking start the show, Steven.
But anyway, we got a great episode for you. We're going to be talking about Civil War. And just to warn everybody, this is going to be a spoiler review. We are going to talk about this. We just can't keep our mouths shut.
Yeah, we're sorry. We cannot stop talking about the spectacular show that is Civil War.
It was a great movie. Loved it. We're going to go from beginning, middle, and we're going to talk a little bit about our favorite parts and like what they did really well in this movie, Civil War, and how it could be and is considered right now by us as well as a lot of other people one of the greatest Marvel movies ever created so far.
Oh man, so far it's just amazing. We don't know until Infinity War, and I don't like, they're all great to me. Like they're all knocking out of the park. I mean, it's just amazing. Every time I see a Marvel movie, and this is speaking as a diehard DC fan, that like this movie was definitely better than Batman Superman, and I just can't believe the spectacle. I mean, from 1991 to the end of the movie, it was just one huge fucking. It was a blowjob that never stopped, and then when it did stop, it was just like.
Don't forget the orgy in the middle.
It was just orgy after that, and it was just like I was just geek coming the whole time, just like, oh god, everything is amazing and beautiful and spectacular, and it was awesome. I mean, so I think that we should start with
the beginning.
The beginning starts out. I could have watched that movie. I could have watched the beginning sequence like. A whole nother movie, like Fetch Bucky.
Well, I really like in the beginning how instead of just going to this, like the title or something like that, they do that scene to do a transition into the movie itself, where they show Bucky and how he became the Winter Soldier, how he started.
Yeah.
Because nobody really knew how he started, like fully.
No, I mean unless you read the comics, and I don't read the comics. I love Marvel movies, but I don't really read the comics. But like it starts out in 1991, says 1991 on the screen, and then they wake up.
It's in Siberia.
In Siberia,
where they start.
Oh, by the way, we go to 1,000 countries in this movie. Like every 2 minutes, it just says a place, and then it says like on the screen where we are. But anyway, starts out in. Did you say Siberia?
Yeah, Siberia is like this out area. Like,
you should play a drinking game to how many times they go to another country in this movie. Because like seriously, they go to a different country every like 3 seconds. It's amazing.
No, and it was great to see them like showing how the Winter Soldier was programmed. I really found that fascinating how this programming started with words, like brainwashing. He was brainwashed because in Captain America he falls off the freight train.
Yeah,
and that we don't see what happens.
He dies in 1942, and then he comes back in.
Well, we don't know if he died. Yeah, he fell off the train, but it could be this transition scene could have maybe shown that he had been captured or something.
True. Yeah. Well, he obviously lost his arm. He was on his way to death.
But he probably got frozen, and then they found him because there's no way he would be that age.
Yeah. Absolutely.
If he was still alive. But and you have like where they're doing the
So he goes off. Hold on. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you up. But he goes off and he does. We see him do this fucking mission. He's on a motorcycle, and then he cuts off this car, and then he takes something from the car, and then we don't know who's in the car, who's driving the car, and then he comes back, and they're like, "Good job," and then it cuts to the Marvel thing, and you're just like, "Holy shit! Like, what the fuck was that?" I'll watch 10 movies about that. Like, go fetch Bucky. Like, that's what I'd call it. Just fetch Bucky. Like, and then you see the spectacular Marvel thing unveiled. We saw it 3D, so I mean, doesn't really like big.
Couldn't watch 3D right now though.
I mean, it doesn't really matter.
Everything's in 3D right now.
It doesn't really matter if you see it in 3D or not, but it's a spectacular show no matter what. And then we see what happens after.
Well, no,
that.
after it goes to Africa, Nigeria.
Yeah, Nigeria.
Nigeria. Yeah,
I'm telling you, we go through so many countries in this. Like, I don't even know.
Yeah, they go there,
all of them.
and it's the Avengers. They're on this mission to find.
It's Captain. It's Team Cap for the first. By the way, were you Team Cap or were you Team Iron Man?
I'm Team Iron Man, but that's just because I like Iron Man suits. They're awesome.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing. Is I like Iron Man a lot, but I found myself leaning on Team Cap more because the way that the politics of it, his points of view is. I'm sorry, I kind of fall more with like they should be like one day you're gonna need them. That's the whole point of a superhero. Is like they could do a vigilante could do it by himself. Fucking Batman does it by himself, and like you're gonna need him one day. And like the fact that I have to sign away and give you my fucking badge and gun like I'm a goddamn cop, and like that's the whole point. They're better. Like they're not better, but they're getting these gigantic things stopping. But then at the same time, they're killing a lot of people and the collateral damage. Both these movies, Batman vs Superman and Civil War, are talking about the damage that you're causing all these other people who are just casualties. But I mean, in the war and crime, casualties happen. I don't know. It's a blurred line. I love Iron Man, and I probably would have signed, but knowing that Cap knows more that like. Further on down the road, that's what they're setting up. I think it's like further on down the road for like Infinity War. That's what we're gonna get. So let's talk about some of the middle part, like some of our favorite things that you saw.
There's so much at the beginning still.
True.
Yeah,
okay.
There's still like it starts there, and they're trying to find this robber who has no problem being seen. You know, and it leads. We're not gonna spoil it too much for you, but we're still gonna talk about it. But it leads to this point where. That Captain finally realized that there's more to Bucky, and that he didn't know. Exactly. And when he gets into that mindset of, oh my God, Bucky, I'm hearing this name again. Yeah. He doesn't catch that there's a bomb, and that bomb, when they're trying to get rid of the bomb, they accidentally.
Scarlet Witch then takes her. She takes it, and then she sees the damage that happens because she can't get it out of there fast enough, and it destroys the whole thing of building that we don't know if people were in. I mean, she didn't, but it's led to believe that she's killed a lot of people, and she sees it, she starts crying. Yeah. And so, I mean,
and that just that really brings the focus of how the destruction goes, and that's what brings this whole the what was it called, the Sokovia or the
Geneva.
No, the Accords. The Sokovia Accords.
Oh.
The Sokovia Accords. Brings the Sokovia Accords, which is, as Brian was talking about, brings the whole thing that the Avengers have to be now regulated. They can't do what they've been doing done. The
Secretary of State comes in and is like, look, you guys need to realize that you're causing more damage than you're saving. I mean, Tony's like, look, dude. I saved the planet in the last movie, and that gave him post-traumatic stress with it. In Iron Man 3 is what we saw. And then Iron Man is all for it. Tony's like, oh my God, you're right, and whatever.
Yeah, because he figures out that he killed someone because somebody that was at the building shows him a picture, and that was her son, and she just goes like, you murdered him. Yeah. You murdered my son. And that's what really brought it in.
Yeah, that comes after a scene that I particularly like because of it comes out in a very Less Than Zero scene. If you've seen the movie Less Than Zero, then you particularly like this young Robert Downey Jr. They brought him young. They made him young like they did with Michael Douglas in Ant-Man, and then it turns out it's a hologram, but still it's this really cool thing that Tony has invented, and we have that Stark Expo kind of thing that he's always presenting something cool, and then he gets wind that this woman he's murdered her son through the events that happened that the Avengers did, and it's just again, it's that like answer for your crimes, but like at the same time, look, I saved billions of people. Like, I'm sorry that your son died. I don't mean to be like a horrible person, but it's like, you know, you as Team Cap, I guess I'm trying to say is like kind of. You gotta try and figure out the line. It's a compromise. It's a compromise. The whole movie was just this huge political debate, and I was just like, "This is so awesome." And then it has this amazing splash page scene, like in a comic book. You see all the characters fighting, and that's the airport scene that I want to talk about. Which that was my favorite part of it. The airport scene is this huge fight between all the characters, and they're just like deflecting each other and doing all these things. Not really like a fight. They're just kind of like, look, we're trying to. They're having like this big group fight, but and Captain or Iron Man's trying to get Captain on the side, and it really comes down to see their relationship and how they are as friends. But man, the airport scene, everybody pulls their dick out and fucking just does something, and it's amazing, and everybody just like does these great things, and we have, of course, our biggest reveal is that fucking Spider-Man is in this movie.
It happens actually. Spider-Man's introduced before the airport scene.
I know, and I remember when I was talking about all the places that we saw. Yeah. Well, at one point we get to, it just goes to a city and it says Queens, and I blew up in my seat because I was like, that's where fucking Peter Parker's from. He's from Queens, and they have that nice little thing at the end, or a little towards the end where Captain says to him, and he goes, Queens? Oh, Brooklyn. And I was like, I blew up, dude. I blew up. It was so amazing, and. But the introduction to Spider-Man, I mean, his eyes move up and down in this cool way, and then like Stark gave him an awesome costume, and like he's got the web shooter, and he can climb, and this kid is Spider-Man. Oh my god, I'm too hungover to look it up or remember his name, but that kid is amazing, and when he came in, I just gotta say real quick, when he came in with. When they did the Empire Strikes Back joke, oh my god. Ant-Man grows to Giant Man, and then he tries to take down everybody being big, and Spider-Man starts circling him like in Empire with the ship. Yeah. What's that ship called?
Oh, the Snowspeeder?
Yeah, that's exactly. And Luke has the cable. Is it Luke in that thing?
Yeah.
And
then Luke has the cable, and then his partner Dak.
Yeah.
Is the one who actually shoots the tow cable.
Okay, but my point is that he starts doing it, and he goes, "Hey guys, you guys ever see that really old movie, Empire?" And everybody's like, "Really old? How old is this kid?" And then he starts doing the spinning around of Giant Man, and then it looks like the AT falling down, and I was just like that. You know, that was Marvel just whipping out each dick. They're like, let's just take out both the dicks and just fucking slap their faces with it. Big blue one for Disney, big red one for Marvel, and we're just going to slap your face back and forth. And I was just like, I love it, thank you. And it just, oh my god, it was such a great scene. What did you like about the movie?
That's Brian hungover, everybody.
Apparently more interesting than the other episodes, I think, so we'll find out.
But anyways, no, I really liked that, and I also really liked how up to the airport scene, they really are building the tension. Like the whole movie is not like fast paced. It's not trying to like be all action. Like there's scenes of action, but then it's really building up to why it's called Civil War. It's really like you can see the tensions growing, just like in American Civil War. You know, American Civil War, tensions were building. The same thing with this. Tensions were building, and then two sides were there, each with their own views. Mm-hmm. And then you get the airport scene, which was great because everybody's trying to get their forces together, and that's when their forces meet after they've both created. And Spider-Man, definitely one of the best. I think it was funny when he's just like, carbon fiber wings. Well, I don't know how many fights you've been in, but there's not this much talking.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. It was like watching a kid. It was like watching like a 16-year-old kid who's a fan of all these characters. It would be like if me at 16 going to fight Batman. And I'm like, that's so cool that you have that thing. Oh yeah, sorry, boom, I gotta hit you. Like, he was like, it's like looking at this fan going like, I love these guys so much, why am I punching them in the face?
Well,
and I just love Spider-Man.
But that,
so
what's
great.
also great is they brought like the actual personality of Spider-Man more into it. Like we have Tobey Maguire's one. He brought some sense of humor. Like he brought humor to it, and then you have the Amazing Spider-Man.
Andrew Garfield. Garfield.
He brought a certain sense of humor, but like you could tell it was like they were trying so hard to put the humor. And when you bring this Marvel movie in, this Civil War, the humor seems just so natural and it flows
so nicely.
It flows and it's one after the other, and it's literally just this kid's real personality, and him just like being like, oh crap, I'm buying these guys, but and talking.
Like, I don't want to like.
No, and it was good. And
I have action figures of these guys, like I had action figures of these guys. That's what I like about it. It's like he grew up with like. Probably had action figures, read their comic books, and like Captain America had comic books. Like I know he's not, but my point is like he probably read maybe in this universe maybe they have actual because there like in Batman and Superman there's no like Batman action figures or comic books in that world. It's just that he exists that way. Nobody reads about him, but I feel like in this universe in Marvel it's like these people are so connected with the superheroes.
Yeah, no, and that's good. And then we go from the airport scene, and they get the jet. And, this is where
after the airport scene, a whole other movie basically begins.
Basically, and that's really but it's really cool to see how these other superheroes are just like, you two go. The mission's more important. We gotta lose something. They learned about Captain America's side. We have to compromise. Not everybody's gonna win. And certain people are going to fall. And, it was very interesting to see them actually take the fall. And then they go that whole, new movie style, like you said. You get to see a second Civil War, basically.
Yeah, it just kind of goes into, like, this is what you really came here for. Like, yes, you want to see all these people fight, but, like, let's get down to the actual fight, which is Captain America and Iron Man and Bucky.
Yeah, and it's kind of cool, going in there, and it comes back to Siberia, where it all started, where the movie begins, and they're going in there, and Captain America, whoa, Iron Man, he's kind of like after the airport, he's kind of realizing that he made a mistake because his computer shows an image of the real person that was supposed to interrogate Bucky.
Captain was kind of right.
Was kind of right, and so he goes and trying to find where Captain America is, and he's doing it on his own thing, so almost becoming a criminal himself to a point.
Well, yeah, because Iron Man, he's always taken the law in his own hands. Yeah. He's always been a criminal, like in a way. Like he reminds me of that world's Batman, kind of. Marvel's world's Batman is Daredevil. Let's be honest, but. With the billionaire thing, with the investigating, the report, and the gadgets and the computers, the fact that he knows all this shit, and he sort of secretly runs the Avengers with that behind their backs and shit. Like he's always got something that and he's sort of a criminal like that. He's even in his own team, so it's bizarre that he feels the way he feels, but it's
Well, yeah, and. I thought it was interesting that they kind of make this realization to build up to the main event of the whole Civil War, where they don't even really they finally Iron Man, Tony Stark, he finally sees this footage of who was in the car that we started with in 1991.
Yeah. Do you think we should reveal that? That's kind of a big one.
Yeah, probably not.
Maybe not. We're not gonna give that to you.
We're not gonna give that to you
because.
But what he
honestly,
sees,
I didn't even. I had no idea.
No. What he sees though,
causes another fight. And if you're smart, then you know what we're talking about. But it causes another fight so much so that he's an unstoppable force. He cannot. And we see through a series of major fights. We see Bucky lose his arm, and then we see Captain take him down with the shield, and he stabs him right in the chest area where is the controls the whole suit.
Yeah.
And is like, we see this look on Tony's face of like, okay, I get it, and like.
But he's still angry because he doesn't believe Captain deserves the shield.
He said.
Well,
no, the government doesn't believe that he has the shield because Tony's dad made it.
Yeah. But because of what.
What caused this event?
Yeah, he just doesn't believe that.
He doesn't believe that. Let's go back to the fight, because the big splash page fight, because I loved the part when Tony said, okay, when Giant Man became Giant Man, I was like, or Ant-Man became Giant Man, I was like, Tony Stark goes, does anybody else have another big, revealing, unexpected power? Like, right now would be the time. I was dying, man. I mean, the humor in this movie was the best. Spider-Man was the best. Tony Stark and let's talk about Tony Stark and Aunt May and Parker, Peter, because I loved that part. Honestly, the movie began to me when we saw Queens and then everything else after that, because everything up to it I was kind of like, okay, let's get to the fight, just kind of like with Batman. But anyway, excuse me. Marissa Tomei plays Aunt May. Oh, and my God, what a beautiful Aunt May. Like, an older, beautiful Aunt May that, like, I kind of hope that Tony hooks up with. I think that'd be so cool. But I kind of understand why it wouldn't be. And, God, it was just amazing. What their relationship and that whole scene, and, like, he's there, and then when Marissa Tomei's, like, mouthing, like, she's mouthed something to him, like he's hot or something. I missed it, I think. But then they go into his room, and he's like, shows him, like, this is you, right? Like, you're Spider-Man. Like, and the kid's like, no. And then, like, the kid was just so cool. He was such a good teenager. Like, the kid is 19, the actor, and then he's playing like a 16-year-old kid, and you just buy it. And the kid is just so good at being who he is, and I buy it. After this third time, I was sick of Spider-Man. I was like, really? We're just gonna keep, like, come on, like, we get it. Spider-Man exists. But, I love this new Spider-Man. This is it. They finally got it right. And I think it's because Marvel grabbed it and was like, we're gonna do this right.
Yeah. So, no, and we all had a great conversation, This is a great movie to talk about.
I could keep talking about it. I'm going to bring it up in more episodes. Well, like, we've got to have another one with Samson.
Irrelevance. Don't forget irrelevance. So I don't want to just throw it in there. But anyways, we just want to, we just hope everybody gets to enjoy this movie just as much as we did. Brian and I maybe have creamed on the chairs, so if you sit there, we apologize. No, we don't. But, we hope everybody had a good Cinco de Mayo. We hope everybody goes and watches this movie this weekend. You must see it. If not, you're a loser.
Yeah.
And just as always, we just want to say, nerd out, boys and girls.
Nerd out, boys and girls.
Sorry, my head was fucking
throbbing.
my head was throbbing. My head was throbbing.